Hey y'all, welcome back to Twin Oaks Farm in rural Southeast Ohio, USA. Thanks for joining us on our channel, Twin Oaks Farm Poultry. I'm Melissa and I hope that you'll subscribe to our channel. This evening, just talking about some quick pointers on predator protection for meat chickens raised indoors. Thanks again for joining us. We are actually in our meat bird production barn and it's sized to accommodate about 500 Cornish rock cross meat chickens when there's nothing else in it, with having like a pallet of feed stored in it for use during production and a couple other things in here. It takes us down to really only being able to accommodate about 300 at a time, and we are between flocks now. We have 300 birds coming in the end of August, so we'll be getting ready for them again soon. And on our videos in this time between flocks, we're trying to consider and address some of the challenges of raising meat chickens. And so when we talk about meat chickens, we really are being specific about the Cornish rock cross meat chickens because that's what we specialize in to produce top quality poultry from them. And I want to give you a little bit of backstory on how we started and some of our lessons in how important it is to be really aware of predator control and to really have on your radar keeping your flock safe from predators. So we started raising Cornish rock cross meat chickens, which are the white chickens that grow really quickly and are really specialized for meat production. We started raising them about 4 years ago, and our first place to raise them was maybe like the size of this corner back here behind me, approximately 13 foot by 13 foot. And it was more or less one end of a building that was kind of like a shed. So it had a totally open end and enclosed on the other three sides. And our first little flock was like 25 little birds. We were raising them for just intention of using in our household eating. And we brought in a hay feeder, a round bale hay feeder, and it was warm time of year, warm temperatures, so it wasn't difficult to brood them and keep them warm. And we thought this hay feeder will be great. We can put some hardware cloth and chicken wire around it and over it, and we can put the chickens in there and it'll be easy for us to work with them in there. And if they outgrow it, you know, we'll put them in the shed. We'll take the round bale feeder out. So we thought it'd be great, and it was great for about 3 days. And so if we go back 4 years, and you can imagine like a 14-year-old young man, our middle son was helping us take care of doing the chores with the chickens, and he went out to feed them, take care of them, and he was just back in a hot minute. And Mom, you got to come check out these chickens. It's like they were massacred. And I'm thinking, 14-year-old, he's exaggerating. We get out there, y'all, he was not exaggerating. Those chickens had been more or less massacred. So like I said, starting out with about 25, I think they got about 12, whatever got them, got about 12 in one shot. So almost half of what we were raising. And there was basically just beheaded little chicken bodies laying around. So we kind of came to the conclusion, based on the evidence, based on what we saw, that we were dealing with probably like weasels or minks maybe. Something that, you know, could get into small spaces and maybe had some dexterity in its digits and limbs. Could have even been raccoons, but from what we read at the time, that seemed like the way maybe the weasels and minks handled their hunting. So we thought, okay, well, if we just reinforce things and fortify it a little better, you know, a little more chicken wire. And so that held for a few days, and then we actually ended up losing about 5 more. So at least. So by the time we come to the end of that, we had like a handful or less of chickens left, and we immediately got 25 more, and did another flock right after that. But we had learned it needed to be more on our radar to keep land predators out, away from our chicken flock. So we actually, to do the very next flock after that, we ended up realizing we had to put a solid wall in that open end of that shed and a man door for access, and that would be more successful for raising those chicks. So when we're raising meat chickens, especially if you're just starting into it, chances are you're going to start off at least brooding them with an enclosed space. So the main thing to keep in mind if you're raising chickens in basically an enclosed space is that you need to keep predators out. And so any gap or any crack where they can get into your building, that needs to be on your radar. We need to constantly be scanning for that and blocking that up some way where we're keeping those things out. So land predators that could be a problem for you could include raccoon, mink, weasel. If there's a big enough opening to get in or to dig in, fox could be a problem. If there's a barrier wall that's high but open at the top, something could go over, like a bobcat, raccoon again. If it's open at the top and there's big enough space at the top from overhead, a predator bird actually could come down to get chickens as well. So all kinds of things to just have on your radar and keep in mind. So I'm going to show you a couple places in our building that we use currently that we have to adjust for and keep on our radar as well. So the main place, we have these carriage doors. We actually have 5 sets of these carriage doors because we have 2 on that side and then we have 1 on all the other sides of our building. So this was the door we used to bring in a piece of equipment and clean all of the bedding material off of the base floor in this building. So you can see here at the bottom of this doorway, there's a big gap. That door doesn't come all the way down to the floor. So before we cleaned this out, we actually had a board there that filled that gap and fastened on each end of the door at the base of the doorway. And that blocked that out so that predators could not come in there. But that had to be on our radar to prevent that, because like a weasel or mink could easily get in there. And if I had 300 chickens in here, they'd be more or less sitting ducks for whatever animal wanted to come in. So let me show you an alternative to like that gap at the bottom of the doorway. Here's the other doorway on that side of the building. It's exactly the same kind of construction. The same gap actually exists at the base of this doorway, but we just took scrap lumber and fastened it in along the base of the whole entire doorway to block that out. Hey, while we've got video going, I want to come over here. This is actually 9 o'clock at night, like on a Thursday night, and we're recording this to upload on the Friday morning for our channel. And we're letting this hen, mama hen, and a chick she hatched out stay in here in between meat bird flocks. They have the whole building to themselves, and they usually bed down in this corner. So I don't know if we'll get to see the chick, and the lighting's not good because they like that corner because they get a little bit of shadow thrown from that straw. But mama hen and Oakley chick always bed, I can't zoom in much more because with that poor lighting it gets fuzzy, but mama hen and Oakley chick always bed down in that corner, and we don't have the advantage of getting to see it, but Oakley chick is actually tucked right under mama hen's wing. So it's pretty cool, and mama hen's really protecting because I'm getting pretty close there. So, but another measure that we use in the buildings is lighting. And so we've read and been told that there are some predators that will not come into a building that's lit. And so we do actually have a motion light on the outside of the building, and then we have that light inside the building, which that doesn't work as well necessarily for egg production chickens, but it works great for meat production chickens because it helps keep them motivated and stimulated to eat. So y'all can't see this, but Oakley chick is actually, like, there's mama's head, and Oakley chick is right there. And I know mama's not gonna let me get much closer. I can't zoom in enough, but Oakley chick is actually right under mama hen there, ready to rest for the night. But we actually do leave the light on as sort of a hope that that's a deterrent for some predators, to keep them out of the building. And keep in mind that things that seem benign to us, like household pets that go around our property with us, house cats, stray cats, dogs, they can pose a threat actually to our chickens. And so overall, chickens are just attractive to any kind of animal that could be predatory. And sometimes it doesn't matter if that animal is domestic or a wild animal. So we have to just have that on our radar and be aware of that. And there are additional considerations if we're talking about keeping chickens outdoors. But basically, if you're keeping chickens indoors, what really needs to be on your radar for awareness as far as protecting them from predators is just blocking out those places that are gaps where predators could get in. And something like this hardware cloth, welded wire, this one happens to be 1/2 inch by 1 inch. I think you can get welded wire that's 1/2 inch little squares. That's helpful for blocking up places too. So thanks for joining us. Please join us again, and please subscribe to Twin Oaks Farm Poultry.